Okay, yes. Hello, everyone. We really need to get into it today because stuff for the law, it's been really going down, and I'm really just about to call people out, especially men. It's really like, stop it. Jalas. It's over. Ya se acabó los juegos. Que nadie tiene tiempo. No one has time for this. Please forgive me. September 16th. It's so ironic. September 16th 1941, I believe, is actually the day that Britain and the Soviet Union, ironically, united to invade Iran, to colonize brown people, and to take over their oil fields and impose colonization. They abdicated the Shah at the time and put in his son. But it's just interesting to me how when we forget history, we're bound to repeat it. And when we are, how can I say this? When we have been victims of colonization, but we try to use the tools of our former oppressors to bring about change, it's always going to backfire. It's always going to be horrible, and it's always going to end in us never gaining freedom. We're just now oppressing each other. Um, so fast forward to today's time, September 16th, 2022, a beautiful young woman by the name of Mahsa Amini, an Iranian woman from the Kurdistan province, was in Tehran with her brother, chilling in his car. They were allegedly driving to go meet other family members. Their car was pulled over. I can relate to that as a Black woman being pulled over for no reason. Their car was pulled over, and so-called morality police arrested Mahsa Amini because her hijab allegedly was not on good enough. Like, it wasn't proper. It was incorrect. It was like breaking some rule. And it's just so, honestly, like, honest to God, my blood is boiling. I'm trying not to shake. Bless everyone who has daughters. When you're born a woman, when you're born a girl, there's just certain things that eventually you become old enough to realize that either you're going to resign yourself to the bull crap, or like, I might harm myself or lose my life, God forbid, trying to fight against this oppression. So they arrested Mahsa Amini, 22 years old. They detained her. They beat her. It wasn't enough to just arrest her. She was beaten in her skull multiple times. Again, I can relate to that as a woman. I was beaten in my skull in Santa Cruz by security guards because I'm a woman, because I'm Black. They just knew they could pick on me. And they also knew that hardly no one would defend me. Only one man stepped up to save my life, right? So it's not just us against them, right? The people who want to put rules on us or keep us in our place. It's also all the other people, men and women, who are complicit in this patriarchal design to harm women. So they beat this young lady so bad that eventually she fell into a coma and she died. She died on September 16th, which is just so crazy to me because that's the same day that Iran was invaded back in the day by colonial powers. And I'm just like, you know, I love Iran. I love Iranian culture. When I say I love Iran, I love the people, I love the culture. Some of my closest friends in undergrad were two beautiful Iranian sisters who had like literally just came to the United States to basically go to the university. So they were very, very connected to their original Iranian roots. And my twin and I used to spend the night at their house all the time. They would invite us to come to Iran. I've never been, but it just always seemed like such a beautiful culture to be a part of. And I've taken Arabic classes and had the pleasure of studying Arabic with Iranian women who are also studying Arabic because their native language is not Arabic. It's, Farsi. So, and they just always affirmed me as a Black woman. I have felt a great affinity towards Iranian women and culture. And as a Black woman, I stand in complete solidarity with Iranian women fighting against compulsory regulations around what to do with their head, their hair. It's not correct. You know, from my understanding, from my own background, I understand that hijab is not obligatory in Islam. It's not. Of course, there's some schools of thought that will say it is, but for the most part, most people agree that it's not obligatory. And I don't even really want to get into that because it's it's just unbelievable. And this isn't the first incident. This is not an isolated incident. What I want y'all to understand and what y'all really need to know is that Iranian women are so strong. They're very opinionated. They're highly educated. Iran, for decades now, has boasted like the largest percentage of educated women in the Middle East, Near East, Middle East area. I mean, they just have the most educated women, very outspoken. That is their culture. That is their culture. So with right now, currently, Iranian women are burning hijabs in the streets of Tehran. They're cutting their hair off. They're doing massive protests. And women in Iran are saying, we're not begging for our rights, we're demanding our rights. And I'm just so deeply touched as a woman to see women put their lives on the line because what happened to Mahsa Amini is it's a crime against humanity. And it's so ironic that, I guess Iran in 2019 hired like 2,000 morality police, which is very funny to me. And a lot of what these morality police do is surveil women to make sure that their veil is correct. Now, what's interesting about Iran is it's actually, in my opinion, compared to other Muslim countries, it is rather progressive. Like a lot of women do wear hijab in Iran. They wear chador, I think it's called. It's like a more kind of even more formal covered version of hijab, and it's usually black. But there are a lot of women in hijab who will in Iran who wear hijab, but they show some of their hair, right? And I feel like that is progressive. Um, but here's the thing: the irony about Iran is that when when Reza Shah was the ruler or king back in the day, so he was the ruler from like 1925 to 1941 when he was abdicated by the Soviet Union and Britain. When he was in power, he made it compulsory for the hijab to come off. And I'm not for that either. Like, and he had people policing women who were wearing hijab and literally pulling their hijab off, which is violent, first of all. No man has the right to make a woman take off her hijab. No man has the right to make a woman wear her hijab. It is her right. Period. Point blank. Um, there's this beautiful young lady. She was 29. Her name is Sahar Godayari. She was a football fan, like a major football fan, soccer fan, and she tried to go to this famous stadium to see a soccer match with her favorite team. She would go all the time. She's known as the Blue Girl. She would wear like a blue wig and like a long trench coat and kind of like put a fake beard on her face so she could like blend in and look like a man to go undetected, right? So she had done this before, and then this one particular day, I believe this was in 2019. It was either 2018 or 2019. She went in and saw her team playing, and she was like being loud with the referees, basically yelling, telling them they did a bad call. And somehow the police noticed her, and then they were like, oh, you're not a real man, you're dressing up as a man. And she was arrested for impersonating a man and for basically bad mouthing the referees. First of all, that's what you're supposed to do at a soccer game. That's part of being a fan. I love basketball. I love yelling at the refs. I love just being angry and upset. It's just theater. It's part of the theater of this human experience. Like, can we live? Like really? So she was arrested and they detained her for 6 days. And then when she went home, they basically told her that she would have to face a trial with the Islamic courts in Iran, and that she could possibly serve up to 6 months in jail after the trial. That same day, when she got that news, she performed what's considered self immolation, which is basically considered the highest form of protest, like the most extreme form of protest, where you light yourself on fire. We saw this a lot during the American War in Vietnam, where Buddhist monks literally set themselves on fire. We have also seen this with the Chinese occupation of Tibet, monks setting themselves on fire. This young lady, Sahar, she set herself on fire out of protest for the outrageous law that did not allow women to watch soccer games at the stadium. They had to just watch it on TV. A month after she burned herself to death, Iran allowed for women to start coming to soccer games. I don't know if it's still like that. Hopefully it is. But, it's just crazy to me what we go through as women to try to prove our worth when we shouldn't have to do that. We are worthy. We deserve equal rights. We shouldn't have to beg and explain why. I love how this is a protest in Iran where women who wear hijab and women who don't want to wear hijab are united in protest against the atrocity that happened against Mahsa Amini. And I just want to say, like, this idea that women who don't wear hijab are causing moral decay, right? Because this is what the leader Ayatollah Khomeini has stated, is that, like, when women don't wear hijab, they're causing moral decay and disintegration of the family. That's putting a lot on women, really, because if we really look at it, and trust me, I did my senior thesis on war in East Africa, and there's a lot of Muslims in East Africa. So I primarily focused on Somalia and Ethiopia. And well, if we really want to get real, there are so many Muslim men who commit crimes of moral decay against women. And I don't want to make this a polarized thing, but I really think we need to keep it real about the moral decay of this world is perpetuated mostly by men, whether they be Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Hindu. Like, let's really keep it 100. Let's keep it 1,000%. As one of my good friends says, men do a lot of the moral decay. And a lot of women go along with it because we are forced to. I don't even want to get into that. It's a moot subject. Give me a break. I'm a counselor. I know the secrets of every culture. No culture is free. No culture is free from blood on its hands. No culture is free from sin on its hands. Every culture is complicit. There's not one that's better than the other. And this idea that women have to be the savior of morality and that somehow that's going to happen by whether or not we cover or don't cover our head is crazy. It's literally psychosis. So I want to recommend, there's this sister that I just discovered her named Mahsa Alineja or Alineja. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, but it's Mash and then Alineja. She wrote this book called Wind in My Hair. She started a movement called White Wednesdays where women, in solidarity with hijab not having to be compulsory, will like take pictures of themselves and post it, of themselves without hijab. And, for me, it's not about, I love hijab. I don't wear it, but I love it. I think it's beautiful and it's a woman's right to wear it. It's also a woman's right not to wear it. In Iran, women have been used as a political stage. Their sacred head has been used as a political stage to create all this politicization. And it's unreal. In the 30s and 40s, they were getting their hijabs ripped off. Now, in the 2020s, it's like it's on, but it's not on good enough. It's literally, it's psycho. It's psycho. And I have total faith in the women of Iran. They are so strong. Let me tell you something. When the Islamic Revolution happened, first of all, Iran already had a lot of educated women. Okay, they already had a lot of educated women, because the Reza Shah, he encouraged a lot of women to he encouraged a lot of rural families to allow their daughters to come to the universities and get educated. And I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not. That's not even what this is about. So that's a culture that has existed in Iran for decades now, like women being highly educated. And that's part, and then also when the Islamic Republic happened, a lot of wealthy Iranians start leaving, okay? And a brain drain happened, right? We know how that happens, the brain drain. And so then the Ayatollah Khomeini, despite him being very, mm, to me, he did, encourage people to like really put their daughters in education because they realized that they had lost so many qualified people that the only way they were going to be a competitive power was if they educated their women, right? Look at all the countries that are so messed up. When they don't have educated women, it's a disaster. Look at literacy rates around the world. Literacy rates, child mortality rates, and maternal health mortality. This makes me so emotional. I'm sorry. Literacy rates or illiteracy rates, maternal mortality rates, infant mortality rates, they are so aligned. Domestic violence, all of that. Educated women are never going to just sit down and allow you oppressive people to just take our life and our voice away. It's not going to happen. So, um, that's a blessing that the Iranian women's struggle has in their favor. And I'm not saying you have to be educated to know right from wrong or to fight for your rights, because there's a lot of beautiful illiterate women who are some of the best, strongest feminist, womenists, on this earth. So I just want to say that I love Mahsa Amini. I'm so sorry what this world did to you. I too have been a victim of violence. By the grace of God, I was able to survive. I'm so sorry that they beat you so bad that you were not able to recover from your wounds. And um, I pray that your death is the last death that ever happens like this. America is a very violent country as well against women. Um, not for those same reasons, but violence against women is something that I think any culture or country can relate to. And I really pray that women, especially in the Ummah, really just begin to reconsider the true context of what many of our sisters are going through, um, outside of America. It's not cool, and some may be going through similar stuff here, but we need women to speak up and speak out, and we need to have each other's backs. Like some of the video footage that I've seen, Lord, it's like there's even women hitting other women who don't have their hijab on properly. It is atrocious to see other women being pawns of abuse, sexism, and patriarchy. Um, yeah, they're calling this incident the George Floyd incident of Iran. That's what they're calling it. This is really bad. This is really bad. And we really need to get it together.